Okay, so hey guys, welcome to the Peony podcast.
Hey.
And obviously I am Carmela, and this is our wonderful social media manager, Bianca. The Peony
Thank
project
you.
would not move forward without her. She's incredibly valuable. She's a huge asset. The day we lose her is the day I will cry my heart
We're a
out.
team. We're a team. I think the Peonies project is where it is because everyone's a team.
She's very humble. Yeah, but as much as we're joking around, today's topic is quite sobering, and it's about sexual assault and rape. So this is a trigger warning. If you cannot listen to these kind of topics, if just the mention of rape or sexual assault does bring back memories or trigger you, we completely understand. It's a very difficult topic to deal with, and it sometimes can surface a lot of as Bianca said before I forgot to record, it can surface a lot of like internalized pain and trauma. So this is just a trigger warning, just beware. And yeah,
you don't have to feel that you need to watch it just to be of support. You know, we know that our audience supports us no matter what. And
exactly.
obviously, this is a very prevalent topic to speak about. And although it is triggering, we need people to be speaking about it, especially to those who have not experienced I don't want to even say experience because I don't wish that on anyone, but to those who maybe not understand how detrimental it is to a person.
Of course, yeah. I actually we made a post yesterday called Sexual Harassment Do's and Don'ts. And I shared the post from the Peony Project onto my personal Instagram account. And a girl, well, not just one girl, but a couple of girls actually DM'd me, and they were like, this is actually disgusting that you guys have had to make this post, because we shouldn't have to say it. It should be common sense that you don't touch people or hit on them or rape them, or make rape jokes, or I don't know, just do like unsolicited behavior.
And I think that's a huge problem, especially because I think sexual assault, rape, and even sexual harassment is like normalized in a way, if you know what I mean. So we did a survey looking at rape statistics in people that we know, and sexual assault statistics and sexual harassment statistics, and most people don't classify things that are sexual harassment as sexual harassment. A lot of people didn't put two and two together, that we asked them about the sexual harassment and then we gave an example, and they didn't put the example together that was sexual harassment, which just goes to show that sexual harassment isn't looked at seriously.
It isn't. And it's not spoken about. And that's the issue. As long as we continue with people not being educated enough about sexual harassment, these kind of things where a man touches a woman, or he harasses her, or he tries to kiss her, or do any of those kind of things, even sends unsolicited.
Or even the other way around, a woman does that to a man.
Exactly.
Just because it's a woman to man doesn't make it okay. It's also sexual harassment.
Yeah, that's actually something very important to note. And that's actually a mistake I often make. I think we often assume that a man is the only party in these situations, and not even just a man, because there's many genders out there, but just one specific stereotype gender can attack or assault or harass another gender. It's potential in all genders, and that's something we have to look at as well. It's a really hard conversation because we can often make people very upset. Excuse the dogs. And it's actually quite unfortunate. But yeah, so today's podcast is going to be a lot more personal. We're going to be speaking about our own sexual harassment stories. I have a sexual assault story I will be sharing today as well. And not only just our stories, but also stories of either friends or family who have given us permission to share their stories. Obviously, we will keep their names out of it. And we'll also discuss the survey and look at the statistics. I was actually reading an article. When was it? I think yesterday, and it said 1 in 3 women are raped.
Yeah.
So if you just look at your like immediate family alone, I have 2 sisters, I have a mother, and I have myself. Out of, you know, that whole, like out of those 4 people, one of them has been sexually assaulted, and that was me, you know. So it's a lot more common than we realize.
Yeah. And I mean, like I said, we'll look at the survey later. But if I looked at one of the first questions we asked, do you personally know of someone that has been sexually assaulted or raped? And we had 40 responses to that. But 85% of people said that they know someone, right? So let's say that some of those people are, you know, the same people. So basically 85% of people said they know someone. Let's assume that some of those people know the same person, right?
Yeah.
But also in assuming that, you must assume that some people know of more than one person, right?
Yeah.
So let's say 85, let's just diminish it to 60% of people. That's 6 out of 10 people. That's that's crazy. And that's not even an accurate statistic. So 1 out of 3, I'm sure is it's fair enough, but I don't think it's accurate. I think
yeah, it's definitely a lot more. And the issue is, so these people we know who have been raped according to the statistics, or who have been sexually assaulted, we only know because they've reported it. There are a lot more people I know
about it.
Who have been sexually assaulted by family members, by brothers, by uncles, by stepfathers, by fathers, by whatever, and they haven't reported it. I mean, I know a girl who you know, got incredibly drunk this one night, which is irrelevant. You know, it's irrelevant. She shouldn't have been raped in the first place, but she was under the influence, and so a couple of men took this as an opportunity to rape her because she was drunk. And then a lot of people within her circle, and people within Durban, because you know it happened to someone in Durban, they all thought it was a good idea to suggest it was her fault. And that's just shocking, you know. And as far as I know, I don't think she's actually reported it. It's shocking. I have no words.
And not one person in that situation went, hold on, this isn't right.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's I'm glad that like people see that it's a problem. And even if you look at the second question, we asked, do you believe the perpetrators received the right punishment? Only 90% said yes, and 10% said no. So if we have to rough that off, 40 people applied. What would that be? Maybe like 2 people or 4 people? No, I think it would be 4
I can
people.
actually tell you the accurate. So 6 people said no, and then 34 people said yes.
What?
Oh no, hold on, sorry.
It's opposite way around.
4 people said no, yes, and 36 people said no.
And you know, that's the issue. That's the issue. So my sexual assault story, I was sexually assaulted when I was very young, and this person who did it got house arrest. Listen to the story. House arrest for 6 months. Do you know what house arrest entails? It means you're basically quarantining, so lockdown quarantining for 6 months, but you're allowed to leave your house for groceries. You can't go within I think you can't go within like a 6-kilometer radius of schools and that kind of stuff. That's all they got. They got 6 months.
Yeah, but I mean, schools aren't the only place where there's kids and things. I mean,
oh yeah, no, of course.
Yeah.
But the fact that that was their punishment. And if you look at the actual
That's
like
ridiculous.
judicial system or the legal system, the most that someone will get for raping someone is like maximum, and often people don't get the sentence, maximum 7 years. Majority of people usually get around like 2 years. And you know, when you rape someone, or when you sexually assault someone, people say that, you know, it's not as harsh as murder. But I think what people don't realize is when you rape or you sexually assault someone, you kill a part of their soul. You kill a part of who they are inside. And it's just unfortunate that the law doesn't see that as equal to murder, because in my opinion, it's the same.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it should be seen as something that isn't as serious as something like murder. Um, yeah, I actually can't believe that that person only got house arrest. I mean, that's crazy. And you were underage at the time, if I'm
Yeah, I was
correct.
underage and I was an adult, and the court stated that they stated that basically the reason why they couldn't give this specific person more years was because I was a child, and so my opinion was essentially invalid. And I didn't have enough proof. So a victim coming to the court or to the judicial system and stating something has happened to them, that's not good enough.
Yeah,
Um,
it
it's
doesn't
it's
hold the
shocking.
same weight.
But
And
I
even
want
as an
to,
adult,
yeah,
there's people I've heard of many stories where it's not taken seriously. If you don't have, you know,
proof.
it's not even proof. I mean, they can sometimes, so the police can take DNA sampling in certain circumstances, and sometimes they refuse to. They refuse to actually even sort the situation out, which is completely um, not right. I don't even know if it's legal on their part, as people who should be holding up the judiciary system. But still, even as an adult, you're not taken seriously with the whole system.
Yeah, it's
Um,
shocking. But I wanted to speak about question 8. It says, on a scale of 1 to 5, how acceptable is repeatedly asking someone to go on a date with you even after they've declined? It makes me quite sad because the scale was from 1 to 5. So 5 is completely unacceptable, and 1 is like completely acceptable. Um, 8 people, so that's 20%. 8 people said it's partially acceptable. 2 people said it's acceptable. Um, and only 18 people said it's completely unacceptable. Something we have to note here is rape has to start from somewhere. If a person doesn't understand what the concept of no means, they're not just going to stop at repeatedly harassing a person and asking them on a date. It's going to, kind of carry on and exceed. And so we have to stop it somewhere. And if people don't see that this is a problem, how can we expect that the rape statistics are going to drop?
no, exactly. So I used to work, let's just say it was a waitress sort of position. I don't want to like out the company or anything because it has nothing to do with the company. So I was working and like waitressing kind of thing on this um in this one job that I was doing when I was in high school. So I used to do like part-time jobs with mates for fun. And I was like tending to this one guy, and I would say he was about 25, and I was 17 at the time, 16, 17, round about there. I was definitely underage. And so he asked me like, hey, let me take you on a date kind of thing. And I was like, I'm really good. It's all good. So I left the table, went somewhere else.
Mm.
Asks again when I come back, like, let me take you on a date. And I'm like, I'm underage, dude. Like, this isn't gonna happen. Like, this is not happening, right? He like, I go away, come back, and he like keeps nagging. I'm still like, I'm underage. Like, I'm being genuine. I'm underage. I'm not even lying about it. I'm genuinely underage.
Yeah.
Still nagging. And I was in a committed relationship at the time, and I was wearing like a promise ring. So I say to the guy, I'm actually engaged. Like, I'm underage and I'm engaged. Like, this isn't happening. And his
Yeah.
response to me in that was, oh, if you're engaged and not married, you're still free game.
What?
Free game. Yeah.
So
Yeah, I'll never.
that right there, he's treating you as an
Exactly.
object. He's not saying free game. So what, are you like a deer to him? I'm sorry, that's
Exactly.
unacceptable.
Just, just a game to win. Yeah.
And that's the problem. I think that's also another problem that we see is that I think and unfortunately I do think this specific conversation of being, a woman being objectified, I think this does solely rely on the male gaze, and men are solely responsible for this, as unfortunately. But the fact that we are seen as objects. We're not even seen as human beings. And so, of course, they're going to sexually harass us because all we are is game to them. And again, that's the problem. Until we can fix people's perceptions, this kind of behavior is going to continue.
Exactly. And I mean, right in that example, I had said no to him. Obviously, the first time I said no, I was very polite. Like I wasn't trying to like cause a scene. So I said no, maybe very politely, maybe he didn't get the hint. He asked again, I said no again.
Yeah.
I then told him that I was underage multiple times. So I told him at
Yeah.
least the first time, then the second time he kept going. And then I said to him, like, I'm engaged. That's at least 5 examples
5 times.
of where I said no, I'm not comfortable with this. Like, this isn't going to happen. You and I are not going to happen.
Yeah.
And he stopped pushing it. And that just shows you. And at the time I was 17, I mean, I believe that a lot of 16 and 17-year-olds are very impressionable, even to the point where if someone keeps asking them, they'll say yes just because they feel rude to say no.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, no,
especially if they're not in a situation where they feel that they can say no. And I think that's a big part of, you know, the whole situation as well. A lot of people don't consider that sexual harassment or sexual assault or rape or anything like that, but that is part of the problem.
It is.
That's what leads to the problem, is that the no isn't even considered a no. It's just considered like,
I'll try later. Yeah, you know, an opportunity to try later. Actually, I have a similar story. Also, I used to waitress. So I'm in my 4th year of university now, but in my 1st year, and I think end of matric, I waitressed also at a restaurant, and it was like again, I'm not going to name the name because I don't want to say, because it's not the company's fault, but the fact is, I told the staff and the manager, and none of them helped. None of them got involved. But anyway, I'll explain the story. And so this restaurant was like a breakfast restaurant. It was like a family restaurant. And there was a man at the restaurant. Obviously, it always starts with men, it seems like. And I was serving him drinks. I think it was like on a Wednesday or something. And he was with a friend and he got a beer or something. And he asked me for my number. And I said, I'm not going to give you my number. It's unprofessional. I'm at work. I just want to serve you. And he persisted at least 5 times. And I said, no. Then this man, so obviously I go tell the staff and they all say, oh no, he's just being friendly, you know. And this is what shocked me. The staff said, just be nice to him and give him your number if need be so we can keep his business. Girl. Anyway,
we really need to be having people like that come eat in our restaurant. Like, there's kids like that things. I mean,
exactly. Anyway, it gets worse. Then this man, I think the 5th time or the 6th time, because he carried on, he doesn't take no for an answer. He pulls me by my arm and he holds me down on the table. So my arm was like this, and I was like, if this is a table, he literally took me and he held me down like this. And so I couldn't move and he wouldn't let me go. And it was like a really tight grip. And I was like, please let go of me. And he was like, this is what he said to me. I'm not going to let go of you until you give me your number. So I was so desperate to get out of that because I thought he was going to hurt me. And the staff weren't gonna help me. So I gave him exactly. So I gave him, I was like, I'm not going to give you my number. I'll give you my Instagram. Because he wouldn't leave me alone. And on top of that, he was like, I'm not going to let you go until I follow you on Instagram, until I have proof it's you. So I have to give him my Instagram account to make him leave me alone. And he also threatened me. He was like, I'm not going to tip you if you carry on like this. And unfortunately, that often happens. I also used to work at a club, and a lot of men would like ask to do I think it's called like body shots, or you know, say that they won't tip you unless like you get drunk with them, or unless you know, you give them their number, which that in itself is manipulative and also a form of sexual harassment. Anyway, so I give him my my Instagram handle, and so I block him after he's left, so he can't message me anymore. But for me, that was, I think it was one of the first like really shocking experiences when I realized that not only are you as a person like not protected from like perpetrators and people who think it's okay to sexually harass you? But bystanders will do nothing. And the manager, get this, the manager is female. That's what a female manager told me. And the male bar staff said the same thing to me. They said, keep him around so we can have his business.
That's ridiculous. I mean,
it is.
That's insane.
And I'm not the only one who's heard this. There are other people who have worked at other restaurants who have said the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's just continuous.
Same thing. And like I said, it's normalized. So it's I don't know if I said it in this or the previous, it doesn't matter. But it's normalized. It's like people normalize harassment, normalize the assault, normalize the rape by talking about it or by not doing anything, by being bystanders, and by joking about it and making it like, oh, well, if you continue, you know, you'll get a tip. Like, good for you. And it's like, you know, I came to serve food. I'm not trying to get into anyone's pants here. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's not what I came to work for. I came to serve food, and that's it.
And I think the worst part as well is that I find so obviously I'm with someone now, but before I was with him, if I had told people, no, I'm not interested, and they asked me, like, for example, I've had scenarios where I've said, no, I'm not interested, and then they would say, well, do you have a boyfriend? And I would be like, no, I don't. And they would be like, so what's the problem? But the moment I tell people, no, sorry, I don't have no, sorry, I have a partner, they would leave me alone. But if you tell them you're not interested, it's not good enough. So you have to have a partner for them to leave you alone. And that's problematic as well, because again, it goes back to the same concept. Why can't my no be enough? You know?
Exactly. I also just want to go back on something you said earlier. You said like it's often men, and I think from our experience it probably is, because for heterosexual male, obviously we would be their type as females. But I've actually had, I don't want to go into specifics because it's like we have a lot of people in common with this person, and I don't think it was anyhow. It was like at one of my parties, and we were staying in this house, and this individual who isn't a male, basically got wasted with a whole bunch of my friends, and I wasn't drinking really at the time. I don't think I had any alcohol. So that also just shows you it doesn't matter if you're drinking or not.
Yeah.
And they wanted to play like a truth or dare kind of game, and I was like, no, I'm not keen. So me and my one mate were sitting on the couch, and we were talking and just having a conversation, and this person was playing this game with I think there was 3 or 4 of them, and they were playing this game, and while they were playing, they dared this girl to take my shirt off, right? Oh, well, I don't know. Yeah, I don't want to get into the gender thing because I don't know what they like classify as now, but basically dared this person to take my shirt off, and this person came and took my shirt off. Like, when I say like it was instantaneous, I mean it was like instantaneous. Like, I couldn't have done anything. I was sitting chatting, so I was like sitting with my arm up, on the couch, sitting chatting, and they literally came and like ripped my shirt off. And so I put it back on and I blew off at them.
Of course.
And at that moment, at that moment, surrounded by people that are like my mates and this person's mates, I was the one that was like considered unreasonable because it was just a game. Yeah. Like, just a game. It wasn't like a serious thing. It wasn't meant in a sexual manner. And it's like, no matter how you view it, if it makes a person uncomfortable and it has nothing to do with, or it has something to do with their body or their, sexuality or anything like that, you shouldn't be doing that. Unless they gave you permission, you shouldn't be doing that.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah. So I like blew up at this person. Anyhow, I went to bed. And the next morning, this person did apologize and like, but the fact that I could see it on people's faces. The moment I blew up, it was like, oh my gosh,
you're crazy.
Fun. It was just a game. It's really, I actually think somebody said to me that night, it's just a game, like it wasn't meant to be anything serious.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter if you think it's just a game. That's the problem. You think it's just a game. And it's not.
It's not. And the thing is, I think that's another thing. When women defend themselves, and it's also very problematic because not just within society, but we also see, because obviously I study film, so we also see in film how when women defend themselves, they're seen as crazy. Actually, for my thesis right
I was
now,
defending myself in a room full of women, hey? I was
what?
defending myself in a room full of women. Yeah. A room
That's
full of
disgusting.
women. It was, yeah.
That's
Yeah.
disgusting. In my thesis,
Exactly.
I'm focusing on sexual objectification of women, and we're looking at this film called The Platform. And there's this one woman, she's a female character, the only female character in the film, and she defends herself from being raped. And the whole visualization of her character, she's shown as barbaric and crazy. And that's just the representation. And I think that's how society sees women. And that's not okay. You're entitled to stand up for yourself. And it also just comes down to respect. For any other circumstance, if you said to someone, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to jump off this cliff, or I don't want mayo on my sandwich, yeah, they're like small examples, but that person would still respect you and not put mayo on your sandwich and not make you jump off a cliff. Why is you saying no to not wanting to have your shirt taken off, not wanting to be touched, not wanting to have sexual jokes? Why is that not respected? It's shocking.
Why did I have to say no to having my shirt taken off? If I wasn't in the situation where I had created the situation with a partner that I was like sexually active with or whatever, where I was in a situation where that would be acceptable, I would have understood it more.
Yeah.
But I wasn't even in a situation where that was created. I shouldn't, in that situation, have had to say no.
You shouldn't have to, because it should be common sense. I agree with you completely.
Exactly. Sometimes a no, I mean, obviously it needs to be respected, but you also have to expect that if the permission is not there or the situation is not there, it's a no anyways. Like you can't just, if somebody says it doesn't say anything, it doesn't, do you know what I mean? I think that's also a big misconception. A lot of people say, not particularly to my story, but like to a lot of other people's stories, especially with rape and sexual assault. Well, did you say no? And it's like,
and it's another thing. Exactly, did you have to? But it's also like, were you drunk? What were you wearing? This is a problem. Exactly. Why are we questioning the victims? Why are we blaming the victims? It's like we live in a society where we expect the victims to take accountability, or the survivors rather, because I think a victim is a very negative word, but we expect the survivors to take accountability, but not the rapists. And I actually, in our last question on the survey, which I thought was actually disgusting, the question was, should we teach society how to prevent being raped? Basically asking, should we make sure that the victim must protect themselves from being raped? 60% said yes. Why should we? I don't know. What do you think? You speak to me.
I disagree. So I said yes to that. And the reason I said yes was not because it's like we should be teaching people how not to be raped necessarily, but rape is a thing. Does it make sense?
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You teach people how to avoid situations or to protect themselves in rape. I've always said in South Africa, we have a program called Life Orientation, which is a school subject. I've always said in that subject's pretty useless from what I was taught in it.
Agreed, same.
I've always said in that they could make that so helpful if they taught people self-defense, if they taught people how to get out of situations where it could be potentially dangerous to them, such as situations where they are isolated or they're, they've got their hands behind their back or anything like that. And that to me is teaching somebody how not to be raped in a way. But because rape is so prevalent, I think that's an important life skill to have for people. So that's why I said yes. Not because I think, it's the victims, it's on the victim or the survivors or the potential victims or potential survivors to have that onus, but it could help alleviate some people from potential
dangerous situations. The only thing I worry, so the only reason why I don't agree with, victims not taking responsibilities, but victims, let's just say that there's there's an expectation that victims must protect themselves, is because I think it puts the blame on victims. It allows a space to put the blame on victims, and that's when questions such as like, you know, were you drunk? What were you wearing? That's when those questions come up, and I think that's a big problem.
What I found very interesting in the survey, right? We had asked, so basically the question is, select the following situations where you think rape of a female is more likely, right? More than one answer is allowed. So these are the like ones that we put here. The female is very drunk, and the female is sober. There's others, but I'm just going to focus on those two. So the female is very drunk, the female is sober. Very drunk got 95% more likely. The female is sober is 50%, right? But people said here, do you think that if she changed her action, she would have been sexually assaulted or raped, right? Or she could have prevented it? People said no, right? So if most people, so 83%, 82%, said no, she couldn't have. But the fact that people thought, 95% of people thought that she was drunk, she would get sexually assaulted, compared to the 50% that she was sober. I believe that when addressed, like, do you think it's the victim's fault? People will say no, but they will still use the alcohol as an excuse.
Exactly.
Because, and that's just shown by the 95 and the 50. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
and
no.
If we look at not most rapes, I don't want to say most rapes. If we look at a lot of rapes, especially rapes that happen underage, most of those victims are sober. So where's the excuse there?
For sure. Where is the excuse there? Actually, just going back to the whole like a rape joke thing, I actually had a story I wanted to speak about. I was at a bar one day with a bunch of friends, and there was this guy that my one friend had brought along. I think he was like a Tinder date, but he ended up becoming a friend. And he was a very peculiar character, let's just say that. And I felt a bit uncomfortable, but you know, like, you be respectful anyway. And so I've had my drinks back before, and I you know, ever since that, I always put my hand over my glass, and this peculiar individual, this male, proceeds to ask me, why are you covering your drink? And I said, because I don't want it to be sparked. And then he looks at me, he laughs, and he says, maybe I'll spark your drink and then rape you. That's what he said to me as a joke. He was the only male there. The rest were female. I said, that is unacceptable. You cannot say that. And I literally blew, like, I a lot like you, very similar to your story. I literally lost my mind. And I was like, I literally said, I was like, what the fuck is wrong with you? How could you say that? And all my friends looked at me as if I was overreacting. And
exactly. And that's the situation. I mean, when I was early teenager, I would say under 16, but over 13, right? I'd probably say about 15, 16. I was standing with a group of adults, which isn't my place. I shouldn't have been there in the first place, but regardless, it's not an excuse. I was standing with a group of adults and they were chatting. We were at a bar, and one of the guys said something about me touching myself, right? A full-grown adult, right?
What?
Yeah. And no one corrected it. No one, right? I'm standing with a bunch of adults, not like 2 or 3 adults. I'm talking about like 6, 7 adults. Not one adult corrected this. I stood up and walked away. Like, I'm not going to fight an adult in the middle of a braai, right? So I stood up and walked away. Months later, somebody asks me like, oh, someone said something, oh, we're going to go visit these people. This male individual is involved in this crowd, right? And I'm like, don't stress, I'm not going to go. And they asked me like, why? I say the joke back to them, right? I can't remember the exact joke, but it was on the lines of me touching myself. And they told me to relax. It's not that big of a deal. These are adults. So I'm a child. These are adults telling me, relax, it's not that big of a deal. That a male adult is making these jokes about a child.
About a small child. That's problematic. Again, it comes down to the view and the fact that these adults who are meant to be leading our world right now and protecting us aren't even there. How can we expect to protect ourselves and feel like we are safe in our own homes if you know, these adults who have brought us up and who are meant to be political leaders can't even protect us and have common sense with what's wrong and with, what's right.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, maybe one or two of the female adults were like, oh, just stay away from him, kind of thing. But
Yeah,
no one ever did anything about it. And like, you know what I mean? Like, and these aren't people that also, they're not people that, like this group of adults, aren't people that don't have kids. They all have kids. They had kids.
that's
So,
disgusting.
and their kids were slightly younger than me. But in my mind, if someone said it to somebody else's kid, especially if I have kids, I would have blown up.
Yeah, I would have been
How
angry
is
as
that
well.
acceptable?
No, it's not. And like, I mean, I have other stories where like men will ask you questions, for example, like I've been at bras with like guys my age or like, slightly older, will ask you inappropriate questions like, hey, do you masturbate? Or like, will ask you things like, what's your favorite sex position? Or just are very intrusive. Or like the one time I was with my first boyfriend I ever had. I think I was definitely underage. I think I was in like grade 9, grade 10. And we went to this guy's house. It was his parents' house, but this guy was there. He's subsequently engaged now, which is very interesting because he's actually the most misogynistic piece of shit I've ever met. But anyway, we go to his house and I'm wearing a dress, and this dress goes just over my knees, but it's very modest. The whole time I was there, this man was looking down my dress, looking down my dress. He would sit down and like literally lean down and do this to look down my dress. He would make comments. He would be like, oh, you've got a nice butt. He hit my butt in front of my boyfriend at that time and my boyfriend's parents. And when I was like, this isn't okay, they were literally like,
and none of them did anything.
None of them. And they were all like, you're overreacting. Might I add, my ex-boyfriend now, his mother was a professor. I don't know. I just think when you're a professor, I think like you would have,
when you're educated,
you would think that there was kind of more there. But nothing. And very interesting. What's interesting about this man is that he kind of was between South Africa and Australia because he's a cinematographer. And he had been kicked out of his university for sexually harassing a girl. And his parents were like, oh, he just needs to grow up. He's just got growing up to do. No, that's not okay. No, he must just grow up. And so it's that kind of sentimentality because we give men excuse. We say, oh no, boys will be boys. That's really what they said. Boys will be boys. He just needs to grow up. And not allowing him to take accountability is part of the problem. Because if men do not take accountability, they're going to carry on and they're going to think it's
not just men. I mean, I agree with you completely.
In general, sorry, yeah.
Anyone that I feel pushes the boundaries in that respect, anyone, it needs to be accountable. And I mean, same with women. There are women who have raped males, young boys. They also need to take accountability.
Do you know what I mean? Gender,
yeah.
I think for me, the reason why I always say men is because I've never had a bad experience with any other gender besides a man. I have lesbian friends. I have a transgender friend. I have gay friends. No one has ever made me more uncomfortable than a heterosexual man.
See, I mean, I agree. I probably would say that is true for like where I've been most uncomfortable is with heterosexual males. But I have had experiences with people who are lesbian or non-binary, or so I do think, like I said to you, I do think our experiences, the ones that we were talking about, obviously they would come from a place more of heterosexual males being the perpetrators, because we are heterosexual males types. Does that make sense? We also, I mean, sure, we probably like, we're also lesbians type, but I think there's a different dynamic that plays there because people generally are more cautious when it comes to being homosexual. They don't always want to be so forward about it.
Yeah.
So I do think, in super public situations, you are going to get a lot more harassment from a heterosexual male because they can be open about it, and no one's going to do anything. But if a lesbian is open about it, I think a lot more people do something or look, comment on it, kind of thing.
Yeah, but also this is another thing. So again, I apologize to if I've offended anyone, because I know it could come across like I'm just attacking men. There are wonderful men out there. I have the most incredible partner, and I've never been more respected by a man. He is, I'd say, more of a feminist than I am, and he sees like these wrongful actions for what they are, and he stands up for it. He doesn't support rape jokes. The kind of friends he has like in his circle are people who would never take advantage of a woman. So I'm not saying all men, not at all, because there are some great men out there, and I know Vaughn is a wonderful guy as well, which is Bianca's partner, well, fiance now. But it's the unfortunate thing is that we have, if we look at the survey, 80% have said that they know someone who has been sexually assaulted. And a lot of the women I have spoken to, a lot of my female friends, have been either assaulted or harassed or raped by usually a man. And so, I think this conversation, the reason why we are speaking generally or majority about men is because it's our lens that we are looking through, and it's our personal experiences. So we're not saying that this is everyone's experiences, it's just our personal experiences.
Yeah, of course. Like I said, we are the type of a heterosexual male. So it does make more sense that we will be targeted more by heterosexual males, whereas a male would not be targeted by a heterosexual male.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to make that
clear. Yeah, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I know you don't think that either. I know you will. I know you don't think that. So don't stress. It's just obviously your experience, that's what's happening.
It's usually, unfortunately, heterosexual men. And then obviously I want to go into more statistics. So I'm looking at this report, and it is from the South African Police Service, so it's legit. So the recent report that they've put out was in 2015 and 16, and it says that 77%, they believe that 77% of so let's say 100%, only 77% of rapes that have happened within 2015 to 2016 were reported, which means that is 20 or 30, not good with math, I think it's like 33%. Is that correct? 33% did not report rapes. That's a massive percentage.
How many people reported? How many percent of people
reported? 42,596 people reported that they were raped. They believe that this is only 77% of the population who reported it. This was only in 2015 and 2016. We know for a fact that these numbers have increased.
So 2020 in lockdown. Remember, 2020 was the year of lockdown, right?
Yeah.
And people weren't going out of their houses. 42,000 people still reported being raped in South Africa.
Wow.
Yeah.
So could we try look at
it's just over 42,000. It's 42,289, but 42,000 people.
So it's a bit less than 2015 and 2016. Do we have a stat for 2019 that was before COVID?
I don't. Hold on. So I don't have the actual numbers for those, but I can tell you the percentages.
Yeah.
So in 2017 and 2018, it decreased to 70.5%.
Okay.
Then 2018 to 2019, 72.1%. And 2019 to 2020, it remained at 72.1%. But remember, these are people who are reporting. These are reported rapes.
Yeah.
These are
not. That's shocking.
These are not rapes. These are reported rapes. In other words, these people have gone to the police station, said that they have been raped, had enough evidence to lay a charge against somebody, and that counts as a report. Not somebody who's just told their auntie or their uncle or
They've
somebody
actually
close to them.
can't make a statement.
These are people who have gone to the police station to report.
So I'm actually just sorry to interrupt you. I've just come across this article, and it said that in 2019, they believe approximately from 2012 to 2015, 127 people per 100,000 people reported being sexually assaulted. So sexually assaulted is the same thing as rape, but it's broader, so it includes molestation and that kind of thing. And so we have a population of, I think, 57. It's like maybe 59, 57 million people. If we had to look at that stat, that's a lot of people. And it's increased, obviously.
Yeah. I also read a statistic. I mean, I don't know if it's true or not, but they basically called the South African Medical Research Council, right? Surveyed a whole bunch of people about rape, and they had basically brought out the statistic that 1 in 4 men admitted to having raped a person.
1 in 4 men.
25% of men admitted. Those aren't the people that aren't admitted. They admitted to raping somebody.
That is
1 in 4.
shocking. And the thing is, like, you know, often people blame it on girls being drunk, but I mean, if you look at Jess Forbes, I'm not sure what her name is, but I mean, she was out on a walk with her dad, and she was gang raped by, I think, like 4 men, you know, and those are often the situations. Are you going to tell a little girl of 5 who's been molested or raped, are you going to tell her that it was the way that she dressed, that her, you know, it's not her fault, it's not her uncle's fault, it's her fault.
Exactly. She was showing too much cleavage, right, at the age of 5.
I mean, ridiculous. And I think also this is a big thing. So premarital rape only became illegal within, I think, like the past 2 decades. It only became illegal.
Sorry, what rape?
Premarital, not premarital. I think it's marital rape. Sorry, marital rape.
Yeah, in other words, you married and your partner, your spouse
rapes you. So it's shocking. And so I don't personally know this person, but I was told the story by someone. This girl was raped by her boyfriend. And something we also want to note, so this is going to get quite graphic. So if you don't want to listen, please, you know, just kind of cut out. But from what I believe, what happened was that this person was raped, and he basically took advantage of her within a few seconds. I'm not going to get too graphic, but it happened over a space of a few seconds. Something we have to note is that rape, it doesn't matter how long it is. You know, it doesn't matter if it's 7 minutes or like 2 seconds. The moment someone touches you or, you know, does any form of penetration or, you know, any thing that you haven't give permission for, whether it's 1 second or 1 hour, it's still classified as sexual harassment. And the amount of time that exists does not, you know, it doesn't determine whether it was rape or not, or sexual harassment or assault or not.
That is an important factor to consider.
Yeah, because I know, and not just this person, but other people have told me, you know, this happened to me, but like, you know, I got away. It only happens for like a set amount of seconds or a minute or something. That's still, you know, rape or sexual assault.
Yeah, and I mean, so, and also it doesn't matter. I'm trying to think of the right words to say here. So just because it's quick or it's not quick doesn't matter. Does it make sense? Especially when people say, oh, it was only a couple seconds, you know, that's why she couldn't defend herself, or oh, it lasted like a couple minutes. She could have 100% defended herself in that. So there was a famous, I'm not really interested in the story. I'm interested in the reaction afterwards. So whether the story is true or not, it doesn't matter. We don't actually know. So there was a famous person who basically trying to think of. So they force somebody to commit oral sex on them. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So they basically shoved their genitals in this person's mouth.
Yeah.
Okay. And when this person came out with a story against this famous person who did this, the public opinion basically was that she could have just closed her mouth. Okay.
I think I've heard the story, yeah.
Yeah, I think I told you the story before. So
Yeah.
basically, she should have just closed her mouth or turned her head. And there were public figures who came out against this person, basically reenacting or like insinuating a reenactment of how this person could have turned their head or like, yeah, closed their mouth basically, instead of being sexually assaulted. So two things in that, like this is why I mean the time thing doesn't matter. Firstly, if it is a quick, instantaneous thing, it often catches a person by surprise.
Exactly.
If you're walking along like a path and someone runs up to you and pushes you, you're going to fall because you're shocked. You didn't expect it. Okay. So your body reacts naturally to that.
Yeah.
So one, that's not an excuse. But two, if it happens over a long period of time, it's also not an excuse to say, like, oh, that person could have closed their mouth during that, or oh, that person could have turned their head, right?
Yeah.
You don't know all the factors involved in that. You don't know what the position, one, that person was forced into. Two, you don't know that person's feelings towards the situation. You don't know if they feel threatened or in any way, you know, scared for their own safety. So just because that is a factor sometimes doesn't mean it's an excuse to why it can or cannot be rape. That's basically what I wanted to say with that.
Yeah.
And
no,
also,
that's true.
when people say, oh, I've heard this a couple of times, like the close your mouth thing, or this person could have just closed their legs. If they don't want to, just close your legs. I've heard that a couple of times. Like, that's again the same situation. You can't just insinuate that it's the person's fault because they didn't close their legs. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you often don't have like, yeah. You just,
if someone throws a ball at you, you'll probably put your hands up, but the ball's still going to hit you.
Exactly.
So whether you close your legs or not, and you're in that situation, if that person is forcing you into that situation, they're forcing you regardless.
Exactly, full stop. And so again, this goes back to the victim blaming. The blame should not be on the victim. It should be on the person doing it, because they shouldn't be doing it in the first place. And secondly, as you said, when something happens, often people like don't have the ability to just react. They're first taken over by shock. And when you do realize, it's often a bit too late.
Yeah. Or you're not able to react because of the situation you're in,
or because they're overpowering, that kind of thing. And then one last thing I wanted to speak about, just to wrap this all up, is that rape and sexual harassment isn't just, because I feel like we've been talking a lot about physical contact and we've gone a bit into joking, but sexual harassment specifically isn't just